Did you realize that the first question the Apostle Paul asked when he became a believer was, God, what do you want me to do? Interesting. Just 2 letters, D-O. But Paul used that word as an underlining for all of his life. Do. What do you want me to do? And then halfway through his life, he said, this one thing I do. Now in the Greek, that's in the present tense, which means continuous action. What do you want me to do? And keep on doing. And then the last thing he ever wrote, the last words we have from him are these: I have finished the course. In other words, I did what God wanted me to do. That word is so incredibly important. A few years ago, the American Family Association commissioned me to write a musical about Christian marriage. And so I researched and thought and tried to get down to the basic foundation of what's going to make a really solid Christian marriage. This is what I came up with. I want to call it I Promise to Love. And I'll tell you why. See, our traditional vows, we say for better, for worse. Let's say you can't promise better because it might get worse, right? And you can't promise horrible because it might really be great. And you can't promise health because you might get sick. But you can't promise sickness because you might be healthy all your life. And you can't promise wealth because you might be poor. But you can't promise poverty because you might be really rich. So what's the one thing that you can promise? Promise to love. That's it. Through it all. Good, bad, in, out, up, down. That's it. I wrote a little theme song for that musical. I'm not going to sing it for you. Don't worry. But the lyric is this: love is something that's real. Now get this is right. Love is something that's real. Love is something that's true. Love is something you feel. But most of all, love is something you do. See, love has to be more than a noun. Love has to be a verb. Now that's not just in marriage. That has to do with all of your life and everything you are. Here's a story. Orville Butcher was my pastor mentor. One Monday morning, he came in a staff meeting, and he said, boys, because we only had men on the staff in those days, so I'm going to tell you a story. Yesterday morning, 11 o'clock, this is pastoral theology in a nutshell. Forget all the books and all the lessons you ever learned. This is it. Here it is. 11 o'clock, Sunday morning, I feel a tug on my coattail. I turn around, and nobody's there. So I keep shaking hands. Feel a tug again. This time I look down, and there is Sally. Sally's a 4-year-old, bright, effervescent little child. Everybody loved Sally. She's standing there, and Pastor Butcher said, so I knelt down to get eye level with her. She held out her finger, had a Band-Aid on it. So I peeled the Band-Aid away, and there was a little cut. So I kissed her cut. I wrapped the Band-Aid back up. She smiled at me, I smiled at her, and she ran off into the crowd. 3 things to learn there. Number 1, she was not afraid of me. If you want to help people, you have to be accessible. Number 2, I knelt down because she knew I would care. She came because she knew I would care. She wasn't afraid. She knew I'd care. And then, peeling the bandage away, kissing the cut, she knew I would do something about it. Those are the 3 great lessons. Be available, be full of care, and do something about it. You know, I think it was smart enough. If Sally had tugged on my coat, I didn't kneel down in front of her because I loved her, look her right in the eye. If she held her finger out, I'd look right at it. To peel off the bandage and kiss the cut, though, I never would have thought of that. But I never will forget it. Love is something you do. Next time.